We're back with the RV crash course. Now we're talking about battery types and why it matters. Common types are lead acid, AGM, and lithium batteries. Lead acid are always the cheapest to produce, so you'll find them in car starting batteries, things like that. The average life is usually around 5 years. You can give or take depending on how they're maintained. Downsides to lead acid. Water levels to maintain prevent premature failure. Because they use water to go in between the lead cores to isolate it, that's something you have to keep checking and keep up with periodically. So if there's battery cables and other things like that, or if they're tucked away in a certain spot or in a bad place to get to, they can be very challenging to maintain for the long term, which makes it not fun to do. So the next option is AGM, Advanced Glass Mat. They are more expensive than lead acid batteries because they use the glass mat to isolate the cells. But the perk is no water levels to maintain. And with no water levels, you can mount them in any orientation. Sometimes they're mounted in the back underneath the RV on its side. So you got a lot of flexibility with it. Average life for these tend to be around 7 years, give or take, depending on how they're maintained. But usually AGM batteries are a very nice upgrade and well worth it. The downside to them is the higher cost associated with the batteries. When you start having to replace 4, 6, or 8 batteries at the same time, lead acid batteries tend to be significantly cheaper, even though the benefits of an AGM are a lot better. Lithium batteries, the great new thing that came out. The charges all last longer. They are a lighter weight battery compared to AGM and lead acid. They do not expel toxic gases when they're charging and discharging, so they can be used and stored inside an RV if you need more space for things like that, or if you add more on them. They have a higher charge and discharge rate than lead acid and AGM, so it's great for a high load situations where you're running inverters, running air conditioners and things like that, where you have a lot of power going out or a lot of power coming in for high efficiency solar systems. So that makes them very helpful with the lithium batteries. All the manufacturers on the good battery manufacturers always advertise a 10-year service life or more, depending on how they're maintained. The disadvantages, the high cost. That is usually the gatekeeper for why people don't go lithium batteries, because the cost is just insane. You're talking about just a standard Group 31 RV battery is usually $800 to $900 for a good one. There are cheaper ones out there, but you want to stay away from the cheap ones. They do have to be kept warm in the cold temperatures. They do not like to be cold. That will ruin them very quickly. So anything below 45 degrees, you want to have a battery heater for them, or use the internal battery heaters that they can get purchased with. So that is the one challenge with lithiums, is the cold temperatures. Good ones have a battery management system internal to the battery. So if the battery voltage gets too low, they will shut the core off to not ruin themselves. The challenge is you can't just hook a standard charger up to them and wake them back up. They need to have a 12-volt input to them to wake them up. So not all battery chargers will work with lithium batteries, not to mention they do take specific charging parameters. You cannot just take any battery charger and hook it up to a lithium battery and expect it to survive. That will ruin them. This is why lithium batteries are not used in cars. They say do not use them with cars. And you got to be very careful with that for that reason. Overall, these are the 3 different battery types and why it matters.